So you want to buy Carli suspension for your truck, and you want it to look like this, more or less, depending on how high you want to go with your suspension and what size tires you want to run. But nonetheless, I'm here to tell you if it's worth your money or not, because there is another company called Thuren that will level your truck. It will not do a Ford, so don't even think about it if you own a Ford. But if you own a Ram or a GM, Thuren does offer a suspension kit that I ran on the Ram. Did a video on that, go check it out. And it was a good suspension kit. It was like $300 cheaper to get just the front, but it doesn't include stuff like the brake lines and the shims, so do think about that. It also doesn't include the track bar, not the track bar, it does include the track bar, but with the Carli one, if you just do the front, you don't get the shocks in the back. With Thuren, the newer Rams don't have the leaf springs, or at least on my 2500 it didn't have leaf springs, it just had a shock or a spring, so you can replace that, but now you're really talking about losing out on payload capabilities. So I digress. Anyway, let's talk about this truck in particular. So I do have some stuff I want to go over with this truck. The front ride quality, I think, improved dramatically. So let's just go up here so you can see it. So I did do, you see it right here, the 2.5 inch spring on the 22s, or 20 to 22 vehicles. It's going to be 3.5 inch level for the front, just because they're not as tall as, or they're taller than the previous gen. And I went with the Fox 2.0. Here's the Carli brake lines that you get. You do get the caster shims, and my honest opinion, for $1,300, $1,350 to be exact, to get just the Carli front. So that would be, so no Fox shock. So Carli actually has a new package where you can get, instead of the Fox 2.0, you get Carli's shock. Essentially, it's the exact same thing. It'll, instead of having the silver Fox sticker, you'll have a silver Carli sticker, or maybe even orange now. But my buddy has the orange one, or the Carli one, on his truck, and it looks exactly the same. It's just Carli. So he also saved a couple $100 there. If you give a shit, I honestly want to tell you, it's not worth your money to just go with Fox. I think that's more or less for your ego, right? Because it looks good and you're like, I got Carli, or I have Fox. So if you can get over that, just buy the Carli and just do the front with that. It's not that big of a deal. But the front ride quality dramatically improved. We're talking about going over speed bumps and stuff like that. You know, when you're going over bumps in the road, like where they repaired cracks in the road, most of that ride comfort's going to come from the inflation of your tires. So if you're aired down like 40 psi, you're going to get a better ride quality than where you would be at with like 65 psi. So you might not see that much improvement just from that, but speed bumps, washboards, like if you're going over a dry lake bed, back roads like forest roads, service roads, ride quality dramatically improves there, way better than stock. I'll tell you that much, way better than stock. So I think the front suspension is worth your money. However, I don't think the rear suspension is worth your money. And this is what I'm saying. If you get the kit, the Fox 2.0s will come with the rear shocks. So you can upgrade all of them. I don't think that's worth your money, because you're gonna put the 2.0s on the back and you're not gonna feel a difference at all, because you're still gonna have leaf springs. So your leaf springs are gonna have a block, and you're gonna have an overload, and you're gonna have a helper spring if you have the heavy duty tow package like what I had. And now I have the Adapacks, which got rid of the block, the overload, and the helper. It rides a little bit better. I don't think it's worth $1,000 though, because $1,000 is a lot of money. And if you haven't seen my other videos, let's talk about this real fast. So here's our leaf springs. Here is the bottom, what is this, 4? That replaced the other Adapacks that were in here from the factory. We no longer have the helper spring on top, and there's no overload on the bottom. So that massive overload, we got rid of it. And it rides better. It's just, it's not $1,000 better. It is not worth your money to buy the leaf springs. I can promise you that. If you're just looking to get your truck perfectly level, and even in this case, it's not perfectly level. Like, let's step back. So I did do a video on this. Go check it out. But with the leaf springs on the back of this truck, it is now 1/2 inch taller in the back than it is in the front. Whereas before I put the leaf springs on with all the factory stuff in the back, it was 1/2 inch lower in the back. So it gave you a little bit of rake. Hopefully it'll be better with towing. It rides better. I don't think it's $1,000 better though. So save your money there. So moving on, let's talk about well, we kind of already talked about the price difference, but overall, I think Carli is worth it. I think you should only buy the front. Don't mess with the rear. The front is amazing. You do get more from Carli anyway than you would from Thuren, because Thuren doesn't include stuff like the caster shims or the extended brake lines, which is awesome because having those caster shims is gonna save you a lot of heartache when you go to align the front end of this thing, because you're not gonna have to mess with the caster that much. You're gonna be pretty much within spec once you put those caster shims in there. So overall, I have 1,000 miles on it after I did the leaf springs, and like I said, leaf springs I don't think is worth it. Save your money, buy something else. But the front suspension, 100% I would buy the fronts again. You are gonna spend right around in between $1,300 to $1,500 depending on like what you get. But besides that, amazing ride quality for like desert. I do a lot of like off-roading to get to spots where we ride dirt bikes, so in that sense it's great. Towing still does a great job towing. I did buy the drop bracket for the sway bar in the front. If you decide to upgrade that to the full sway bar, my buddy's truck has that. That's amazing. You can go over off camber driveway entrance and it doesn't throw your coffee out of your cup holder. So that's awesome if you have the money for that. So if you're not going to spend $1,000 on leaf springs, you could probably spend $1,000 on a sway bar instead. So just my 2 cents. But anyway, here's the truck. Buy the front, don't buy the back. I would rather upgrade a sway bar over leaf springs. But here you go. Leveled on 37s, 1/2 inch higher in the back than the front with the Adapacks. So thanks for watching, guys. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next week.